Hello and welcome everyone to a brand new Player 2 preview discussion. My name is Paul James. Today I'm joined by Matt Hewson. It's been a while since we've done these, mate. How's things?
Good, mate. Good. It has been a while. Life gets in the road of these sort of things, but we had a pretty cool experience, so we had to do a discussion on this one. We just
Yeah,
had to.
pretty good opportunity to take it off the bench and talk a little bit about Ninja Gaiden 4 because you got sent over to Japan to play it.
I
Pretty sweet.
did. I had a very fast trip to Japan. It was a 4-day trip, which was really three when you take into account the red-eye
Travel.
flight. Um, But yeah, so I spent a day in Japan wandering around, getting lost in Akihabara, and then spent a whole day at Platinum Studios, which was awesome. In their Tokyo office, got to play Ninja Gaiden 4, 4 levels of it as both Ryu and Yakumo, which is the new character,
Yep.
and got to interview five developers, so two of the game directors and three of the actual developers themselves. So it was very cool.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. Massive shout out to Xbox for providing the opportunity, Platinum for hosting you, and of course the big question that everyone wants to know before we even get into Ninja Gaiden 4 is: did you see like the sequel to Nier Automata when you were in there? Just
No,
behind.
no,
Were there any big curtains there that they're trying to
there
hide
was some
stuff from you?
closed doors,
Astral
that we
Chain
couldn't go
2,
in.
I'm sure that there would have been signs all over the doors. People people want to know, Matt. Give us the answers.
Well, I can tell you they have a very cool kind of like museum as you walk through the door of like props from their old games. There's
That's
a
not
bunch
what's
of
next. Come on.
there's a bunch of
Kick on.
Bayonetta stuff and some near stuff and all that. In these glass cabinets everywhere. They've set it up as it's a really nice area. We weren't allowed to take photos of it, but trust me when
Oh,
I say
it looks
it's
cool.
some cool. It's some cool stuff there, straight from all their games. But no, I didn't see any secret squirrels behind closed doors or anything like that. Only Ninja Gaiden. All I got to play.
You saw a big harpoon dragon off the back of the failed Scalebound and all those sorts of things. But it'll be back one day, we believe. But anyway,
One day, maybe.
let's talk about Ninja Gaiden 4. So I guess where do you want to kick things off? You've mentioned the two. We've got the two different protagonists.
Yes.
Obviously, it's a big year for the franchise. We've just come off the back of Ragebound. There was Ninja Gaiden 2 Black earlier in the year, which for me personally was actually finally the first time I got through one of these bad boys. After getting myself completely chewed out with the original Black years and years ago.
Yeah, yeah.
Got a little bit scared off. Jumped into 2 Black recently, and I'm in.
You're in. Yeah.
I've downloaded the Master Collection. I'm ready to go. I'm definitely playing Ragebound when I get an opportunity. But I'm all in. So I guess for someone you're pretty well versed in the franchise. What do people need to know in that sense? For those who've been there and done it and have seen all this before.
So I guess my history is I was day one Ninja Gaiden on the original Xbox. It's probably the toughest game I've ever finished. It's
But you did
absolutely
finish it.
something I did finish it. I absolutely loved it. There's something different about it, and I think it's pure action. There's no RPG elements as such. It's literally here's your tool set, here's situations. Using that tool set, you can get through situations.
Yeah.
Unlike say a Souls-like, which is also very difficult, whereas a Souls-like death is built into the learning experience, whereas the difference I think in Ninja Gaiden is that death is a failure to learn. It
Yeah.
gives you everything you need to learn without dying, whereas in a Souls, death is part of the learning experience. So they're two different philosophies, and I like the tool set that Ninja Gaiden gives me to go for it.
This is
So
this is the real version of get good, right? Like actually, like here it is, get good with this,
Yeah.
as opposed to
this, yeah. And I won't say either or is harder,
But they're different
'cause
types.
that's just wanky. But yeah, no, they're different types of hard. So that carried over through Ninja Gaiden 2, which was also really good. Not quite as good as 1, I would say, but still bloody good. 3 was a big disappointment. And looking back on it, I feel like it probably wasn't a bad game. It just wasn't Ninja Gaiden. It just wasn't up to the standard of the first two. And as a result, it got forgotten pretty quickly.
I hear that the Razor's Edge version is where
Is a
things
much better. Yeah,
much better
I never
version, a lot of it's been
revisited it.
improved.
So yeah, I should actually revisit that. But Ninja Gaiden 4 it very much feels like the first two games, but more modern. Obviously, though, there's quality of life things in, and that balance is sometimes quite hard to strike.
Yeah.
You want to make it feel like the classics, yet there are things that people expect in games these day and age, and by adding them, you can throw that balance off. But they've done a masterful job from what I've played. Like I played 4 full levels, a lot. Like I had all day to play this on my own workstation. I just sat there and played these 4 levels as both Ryu and Yakumo, and I upped the difficulty. I started with the normal difficulty, which was challenging at first, but after playing the 4 levels, I moved to hard and managed to get through all of them on hard. The Master Ninja level I tried and promptly got annihilated by the first boss, like
Noped
instantly,
your way out
just
of it.
destroyed. We watched one of the developers play it on Master Ninja mode, and holy shit! Like if you're after the ass kick of games, this is going to give it to you.
But
It
how did that
really
developer
is.
go? Like, could you
He
see
got he
them
got through,
straining and
but
struggling too?
he was still struggling. Like he got through it, and in the end, but it took him. It was a challenge. It was not easy for the dev there to
Nice.
get through this. So you know, it was really cool to watch that. To be honest, like there was like 10 different media there on the day, and we all kind of crowded around this computer watching him try and get through this boss battle on Master Ninja difficulty, which was awesome to see. But yeah, I think returning fans are going to be in for a treat because they're going to instantly feel at home, and they've done a lot of things here to, welcome those fans back. But at the same time, by focusing on a new lead character, Yakumo, he's the guy you start with.
Oh, okay.
Um, you don't start with Ryu, you start with the new guy. It kind of is more welcoming for new players. They don't have this backstory of Ryu to get their head around at all. It,
That's a
it
clever
kind
way
of
to
is
start it.
told
Yeah.
it's told through this new ninja, and so it's a nice way to do things and welcome people in. There's a really cool training mode which is built into the game. So there's like this new guy Yakumo's got his ninja master that turns up every now and then to teach him new moves. And as you learn new moves, you can go into a training mode and practice it.
Yeah.
It's much like say a training mode in Street Fighter where you can set conditions. You can say if the computer fights back or if you just want to practice the button inputs or whatever. Really, really quite complex and complete in its training, which is awesome. I love to see it. It gives players the opportunity to really, really dive into this. Some of the more complex stuff. I can imagine on normal mode, people will probably be able to get through the game without doing that. They'll probably be able to just pick it up as they go, learning as they play. But I think for people that want the challenge
Really
of
push
hard
themselves. Yeah.
and Master Ninja, that option to really learn the nitty gritty of every single thing is awesome. It's really cool.
I do like what you're saying though about I guess just even the perspective shift and focusing on a
Yep.
on a new character at the beginning. That was I guess one of the obstacles I found jumping into to Black earlier this year, which is like there's references now. Admittedly, I know people people probably aren't coming for the story. That's kind of
Yeah,
certainly
yeah.
that was my take from playing Two Black. It's like okay, you've got something here to justify the ludicrous fights and stuff that you're coming up with, but at the same time it does sound like they're giving you a bit of a blank slate, which is going to be really good for the likes of myself who have no idea what's going on. Of course, they're going to layer that story on once Ryu gets into the mix, I'm sure. But as a
Yeah.
starting point, it's
And it's
accessible.
good because it actually ends at the end of 3. Ryu kills this giant fiend, which is a dragon, and that dragon is carcass is hanging over Tokyo, and it's bleeding like this corruptive rain all over the city, and it's destroyed the city. And so the goal, literally, is at the start of this game is the prophecy of the Raven Clan, which Yakumo comes from, is to destroy that demon once and for all and save Tokyo City. That's their prophecy. So Yakumo thinks he's the guy that's going to fulfill that prophecy, and that's where you start. Um, from there, things take a twist pretty quickly, but it's interesting. So like they give you that setup straight up, so no one needs to know anything more apart from the fact that Ryu's kind of like this overwatching guy in Tokyo now, making sure that it doesn't go to hell while all these fiends and stuff are living in this place. But apart from that, he's not doing much anymore.
Yeah,
So
okay. Bit
that's
hands
kind of
off.
where it's at. Yeah, a bit hands off. He's got his own little police force that do most of the work for him and things like that. So that's where it starts. It's a nice simple way to get into it. Covers ground that you need covered, and yeah, new players shouldn't have too much trouble getting involved.
Cool. I like it. Talk to me through the moment to moment. Obviously, you mentioned the challenges there, again, the different types of difficulty, but
Hmm.
what really kind of caught your eye when it comes to, I guess, are there some new mechanics and things that are
There
becoming
are
introduced to
new
shake things up?
mechanics. A lot of it is yeah, what you'd expect. The first thing I should mention is the camera is significantly better than
Good.
it was in the old games. It's really good now. It doesn't get stuck on things. It just whips around nicely, as you'd expect. You'd think Platinum's got that shit down, and they do.
They're well versed. Yeah,
Um,
they've been there and done it
yeah,
a bit.
but there are new mechanics, like both. Obviously, playing as Yakumo, he's very different to Ryu. He's a younger ninja. He's, I guess, more flashy. He's got two different weapons. I don't know if there's more later in the game, but I started with two. One is dual katanas, and the other's kind of like a rapier, so it's
Yep.
kind of more stabby. But he's got this blood raven mode, which charges up as you go, and you can just hold the left trigger to enable it at any time, and it uses a little bit of meter as you hold the trigger. So you do that, your weapons change. Um, so they become like enhanced versions of them. The rapier becomes like this big drill thing, that you can hold and drill into people with, which is awesome. And then the dual katanas become like a mega sword sort of thing that just does more damage. And you can use this to counter big boss moves and things like that. So it
Yep.
becomes mixing up between the two forms is really part of the gameplay, especially so that against bigger enemies, they'll have different indicators to indicate that you should be using this Blood Raven form. Um, Ryu has something similar in a Gleam form where he goes from more precise, what you would expect from Ryu, the way he plays, to a more flashy version of Ryu where
Okay.
there's multiple hits and he's dashing through the air and doing, and it looks amazing to watch. And the first time we watched someone play it, I thought, holy shit, that's going to be really complicated to do, but it isn't. It's quite natural. You pick it up once you've wrapped your head around a level or two. It becomes second nature.
Yep.
There's kind of a lot of things initially that could put people off if you just looked at the mechanics of it, but by picking the controller up and diving into it, you find most of it comes pretty naturally, and there's not that long a learning curve to grasp all these different techniques.
Yeah, cool. No, I like the sound of that.
Mm.
What else did you see that I guess caught the eye? Obviously we've got a collaboration here between three big parties,
hmm
from Platinum to Tecmo to Xbox themselves. Production value wise, I assume this game is looking incredibly sharp.
It is looking fantastic. The level design is amazing. What it's also got is something that Ninja Gaiden's never had, is these kind of breather levels. And I say that there's one level that's almost it's an on rails level. It's almost like a modern Sonic level. It's 3D. You're
Yeah,
stuck on rails. You're zipping down between multiple rail lines, dodging trains coming at you, and different other
right.
things that are going on. It's a nice breather, right? It's still heavy action, and it's still, you know, fits the brief of an action game, but it gives you a break from that kind of intense combat that a lot of the game is. There's also more exploration here. During the levels, there's like these mini missions that you can activate, and it might be locate this particular bad guy and kill him, or kill a certain amount of people. So it pays to explore all the little nooks and crannies that are around, and you'll find some kind of mini bosses hiding off in back corners that you may not necessarily come across unless you go looking. So these little kind of modern touches have shown up as well, which is really nice actually. It gives that bit of replayability, a bit more reason to run around and poke your head into corners for more than just a health potion that you might find or something like that.
Yeah, okay. I always like having those kind of reasons and excuses to kind of go off the beaten track a little bit
Mm.
and explore a little bit. And I like also that when you're talking about these kind of change of pace sort of levels, we're not talking don't get me wrong, everyone. I love God of War Ragnarok,
Yeah.
but stopping to pick flowers and all those like those
No,
sorts of
no,
no. I don't, and not that
no,
I
no.
expect to see Ryu ever walking around picking up flowers, but it's different types of. It's just that actual mechanical change of pace as opposed to
Yeah.
yeah, which is
It's just a breather. And apparently, so I got to speak to Hirimana-san and Nako-san. So Hirimana-san is the head of Team Ninja, director for Team Ninja, and Nako-san's the game director for Platinum. And they talked about working together, and how Platinum handled most of it, but Team Ninja had their experts that had worked with Ninja Gaiden for a long time there in the office with Team Ninja for the whole
yeah.
time, and it was really a collaborative thing. And then Xbox came on board, from what I gather from the interview, about halfway through. They've always been on board for like marketing. Like it
Yeah.
came from conversation with Phil Spencer as how this game got made.
Yeah, everything I
Um,
keep hearing is that Phil really was a big
yeah,
part of just making this a reality in the first place.
but yeah, so the Xbox came on to help with technical things like providing optimization and things like that. So they came in about the halfway mark to really help on that kind of purely tech side to help
Yep.
help it become the best game that it possibly can, and let Team Ninja and Platinum focus on the game design, and the tech specs were helped by Xbox. So that's kind of how the collaboration worked, and it seems to have worked really well. You always worry when, especially with Team Ninja and Platinum, two very unique studios, two studios with long histories and their own unique identities. You worry if there's too many chefs in the kitchen, sort of thing. But they really seem to be on the same page, and I think that helps with Nakasan said in my interview with him. He said he before he ever was on this game, he was a Ninja Gaiden player. Like
Yep.
he was
Yeah, I've
quite
heard that a little
young.
bit. Yeah.
He was very young, to be such a esteemed position in the company, and he was very much like, I was a Ninja Gaiden fan before I even started development. So you can feel that, and you can feel a group of developers that are super passionate about
They understand the
making this one
IP.
nail. Yeah, and it shows, right? It shows in what I've played.
No, that's awesome. Were there any other aspects that either came up through conversation, and with and interviews that you saw from the game itself that really kind of stuck out?
I guess the designs of the bosses, there's some really interesting character designs here, and they're not the Team Ninja classic designs. They're kind of, I don't
Excessively
know,
booby is what you're trying to get at, because there's
they
usually a
they
lot of that.
do have there is one character that
Of
is
course, there is.
not excessively booby, but sensual, I would say, in her
Right.
design. She's not like, dead or alive extreme beach
A little bit
volleyball.
on the nose, but not too
I wouldn't even
excessive.
say on
Right.
the nose, more like Bayonetta, less,
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
you know,
Right. Right.
you know
Right.
what I mean? She's a sensual character. She's not an overtly sexy character, I
Yeah.
guess would be how I put it.
Right.
So,
Understood.
but the boss designs were super cool. Especially the last boss I got to play was kind of this demon character that kind of zipped in and out and changed between evil and good, and it was a really
Right.
cool design. Um, Interesting like mechanics during the battles. Some interesting, there is that traditional boss battle thing where you got to learn their patterns and things like that, but they were not telegraphed so it was easy, but they also gave you enough information that if you failed, it was your fault. And that's really struck me with this game, is when I failed, it was my fault. It wasn't the game's fault. It
Yeah.
wasn't that it was cheating. It wasn't that it was overly unfair. I
Or being
failed
vague,
with the
all those sorts of
systems
things.
it
Yeah.
gave. Yeah, no, it gave me all the information I needed. It didn't
You just
hide
couldn't
anything
execute.
from me. Yeah. So, and I really appreciate that about this series and this game in particular, is that I don't ever feel cheated in a death. I go, know what, I can do better next time. I know what I did wrong. The game told me what I did. I just need to do it. So
Yeah.
yeah,
No, that was something I really came to appreciate. And and again, it's not to say one is better than the other, but certainly I
yeah,
think I'm a bit more wired like yourself, that I appreciate the fact that, okay, I just need to get better at this, as opposed to some of the discovery based things that can kind of frustrate me, among
yeah,
presumably others, about the Souls type of experience. This is more my type of difficulty, and I finally learnt that by playing Two Black,
two black, yeah.
um, and given the opportunity, I'm keen to go back with the others and keen to play four. I feel like, do you think people could just jump in at four? I know we're
Yeah,
talking
I think so.
narratively, but even on a gameplay side, it's
I
fine.
think
Just jump
so. I
in here.
think it's really well set up for new players and old players, and they've somehow struck the balance perfectly between those returning fans and people that are, it's been a long bloody time since the last Ninja Gaiden game, so they've got to welcome new players in, really. Otherwise, it's just not going to be a success. So they've struck that balance really well, I think. And there's plenty there for the old hard heads that want as tough as they can get with Master Ninja. But there is an easier mode. I didn't even
Baby
try
ass
the
baby
easy
mode
mode.
that I can enjoy. No.
There is a mode that there's a whole bunch of accessibility options, in the base like the easiest difficulty, that you can turn off and on. So that easy
Yeah.
difficulty
Okay.
you
Cool.
can actually adjust. So there's some like auto block things that the game kind of reads what you should be doing, and if you want to do something different, you can override it. That's one of the conversations I came up with the developers about how they approach the easy difficulty. So they said it's really common from what they've noticed from play testing is people that started on easy have done that and then learnt their way into going into normal before long,
Yeah, okay,
and they
cool.
and they let you do that anytime. Like you
On
can
the
change
fly.
the difficulty anytime. Yeah. There's no, and they said, they didn't like achievements tied to difficulty. So if you're a Chivo hunter,
Yes.
don't panic. But yeah, so that was their philosophy behind it, which I think is the right way to go, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, certainly. Look, there's something to be said for whether it's achievements, trophies, whatever. There's always some that are in it trying to chase 100%, and if you can knock gatekeep by having that lack of difficulty barrier, then it's going to let more
Yeah.
people in the door. I think that's awesome, and to make the game accessible, it's just hugely important. So
Yeah.
this is a good thing that Xbox is kind of helping to facilitate, and the more people can get their hands on it, the better. I'm all for any sort of measure that all parties take to get the game in the hands of more players. So good on 'em.
Absolutely. But yeah, I mean, it's just shaping up really well. I got to say, I was a bit skeptical because I was burnt by 3.
Yeah.
Um,
And it's been a long time.
and it's been a long time, and also that combination of 2 developers. Platinum didn't do the originals. The team that made the originals is long gone from Team Ninja. They've done nothing but Souls-like for a long time. So there was a lot of
Magneto,
things
yeah.
that could have gone wrong, but yeah, it's looking really good, and it was very clear with my chats with all the developers, the 5 people I spoke to, they all had this like strong sense of responsibility of they can't fuck this up. Like it came across in all their messaging. They weren't going to do it unless they could nail it because they had this responsibility they felt to the franchise that after 3 that people expected better and they were going to provide that. So they weren't going to do it unless they could do it well.
No, that's good to hear.
Mm.
And I mean, everything I've seen, I've heard, now hearing from you as well.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Yeah.
Finally,
I mean,
finally,
I
after
think
decades, I'm in.
I think especially in the action, like the pure action genre, we have such limited options these days. I mean, Devil May Cry is about the only one that's still kicking, and it's been a while since the last one of those. So I mean, they could have easily just kind of bumped it out there and hoped that a crowd looking for that sort of game will pick it up, but they're not. They're trying to make
They're
this
all
the
in.
best one. Yeah. So it's really cool, and I'm super excited for the full thing.
No, keen. If you like the sound of this, please make sure to get behind the game when it comes out on October 21st, 2025. That's PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. And Matt, I'll throw it over you here to say your thank yous and all those sorts of things before we
Yeah.
wrap things up.
Especially like to thank Xbox. They approached me and asked if I wanted to go on this trip, which was very kind of them. It's given us a lot of coverage. So we're going to have a full week of Ninja Gaiden coverage. This will be up some point during that week, but we'll also have the 2 interviews. We'll have a video preview, hands-on preview, and another article that I haven't quite finalized yet, but I'm working on to round out the six days of coverage that we'll have. So make sure you head over and check it all out. It helps us out and also, provides justification for Xbox sending me over there. So
And more info for you on a really cool looking game. So
yes,
go check out all the stuff,
absolutely.
player2.net.au for all of that. Matt is hard at work. I'm pretty sure Phil Spencer's there cracking the whip, just going, come on, keep going. We'll fly you out. You do heaps. Come on, go. And Matt is working. So thanks for coming on board, mate. Thank you, everyone, for watching and listening to this one. It's been a really fascinating chat, and I'm keen to learn more, see more, and I guess October 21st is not that far away now. What are we? Mid-August, so...
Yeah, so
but 2 months and change.
Two and a bit, yeah.
Not all far. For it. Thank you, everyone, for having checked this video out. If you haven't already, you can find Matt at Huso on Blue Sky. Myself, Paul Jams Games. That's Twitter, Blue Sky, the lot. The website is at player2au. Check out all the stuff we're doing there. Subscribe. Check us out on YouTube, Patreon, etc. Thanks a lot for watching, everyone. We'll see you later.
Catch us around.